It's 3 a.m. in a quiet suburb of Atlanta, and I'm backing my truck up to a 2026 SUV that still has a baby seat in the back. This is the part of the car market the news won't show you. I've been doing this for 19 years, repo work, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, we're in the middle of something I haven't seen since 2009. Except this time, it's different. It's faster. And the people I'm taking cars from aren't who you'd expect. The guy who owns this SUV is a middle manager at a tech company, makes decent money, had good credit 18 months ago when he bought this thing. He financed $73,000 at 8.2% interest over 72 months. Monthly payment? $1,418. He's made every payment, never missed one. But here's the thing that nobody talks about. He's already 3 months behind now, because his wife lost her job, they dipped into savings, and then the transmission warning light came on. Repair estimate? $5,000 he doesn't have. He called his lender last month asking about a loan modification. They said no. Called again 2 weeks ago. No again. Today, at 3 a.m., he gets his answer in the form of a tow truck and a locksmith. This is the story nobody's telling you about 2026. It's not just about cars sitting on dealer lots with thick dust on the windshields. It's about the cars that are moving, the ones that were financed at prices and interest rates that made sense in a fantasy scenario, not in real life. Let me break down the math that's destroying people right now. The negative equity trap. When you drive a 2026 vehicle off a dealership lot today, you're immediately underwater. Not by a little, by a lot. That SUV I'm hooking up to right now? It was financed for $73,000. Current market value, and I know this because we run valuations on every car we pick up, is $47,000. Maybe $48 if we're generous. The owner owes $73. The car is worth $47. That's a $26,000 gap. Negative equity. Underwater. Trapped. This happens to thousands of people every day right now. They bought during the peak pricing phase. They got stuck with inflated interest rates because their credit took a hit during COVID, or they had a late payment 5 years ago that's still haunting their score. The lender approved them, but at 7.8, 8.1, sometimes 9.2% interest. Combined with the inflated purchase price, they're paying roughly $450 a month in pure interest. Not equity, not building value. Just interest. Then the car depreciates. Faster than expected because the market corrected and now the 2026 models that were premium priced are being exposed as overpriced. He owes $73. The car's worth $47. He can't sell it without writing a check for $26,000 he doesn't have. And he can't refinance because no lender will touch that math. So he stops paying. Not because he's irresponsible, because the numbers are impossible. The infrastructure of recovery. When someone stops paying, the process starts immediately. The lien holders, the banks and financing companies, they don't wait. They file with my company, which specializes in skip tracing and asset location. That's the industry term for finding people and their cars. Skip tracing used to be harder. You'd knock on doors. You'd stake out their workplace. You'd do actual detective work. Now we use license plate recognition cameras, LPR. They're mounted on our trucks. We drive through neighborhoods at night, 3 a.m. like right now, and the cameras scan every plate. Run it against a database of vehicles tied to defaulted loans. When there's a match, the system alerts me. That's how I found this one. I didn't know this guy's schedule, didn't know his routine, but I knew he had to leave his house sometime, and when he did, his car would pass through one of our scanning corridors. It did. Yesterday at 6:47 p.m. And now, 7.5 hours later, I'm backed up to his driveway because the bank owns the equity, and they've decided to cut their losses. The process from first payment miss to repossession averages 45 to 50 days now. Used to be 90. The lenders are aggressive because they know how fast these vehicles depreciate. Every month his car sits, it's worth another 2, maybe 3% less. So they repo quickly. Once we pick it up, it goes to a staging lot. We have them all over Atlanta, Nashville, Jacksonville. The car sits there while the company tries to contact the owner about voluntary surrender options. Some people take it, some fight it. Most just accept it because they can't afford the recovery fees, typically $3,000 to $5,000, and they've already accepted they've lost the asset. The voluntary surrender conversation. I had one earlier this week that hit different. A woman in her 50s, decent house, decent neighborhood. She came out when I showed up in her driveway at 2:15 a.m. Not angry, not surprised, just tired. She said, "How much do I owe you to just take it?" I told her the recovery fees. She nodded, like she'd been calculating this for weeks. She said, "Can you give me 10 minutes to get the kids' car seats out?" So I did, and we talked while she was inside. She told me her ex-husband financed the car. She was on the loan, but not the primary, and he stopped paying after he lost his job. She didn't even know until she got a call from the bank. By then, she was liable, but the car was registered to an address where he used to live. She couldn't even find him. She'd been paying his debt for 3 months before she decided she couldn't anymore. Car payment or rent? She chose rent. There are thousands of these conversations happening right now, maybe tens of thousands. Mothers choosing between car notes and groceries. Couples splitting up the debt they acquired during the optimistic years, when financing 90% of a vehicle at near 10% interest seemed normal. The banks call these voluntary surrenders. We call them what they are: people giving up. The status symbol casualty. But there's another category of repo I'm seeing more of now: the status symbol buyers. People who stretched for the truck or the premium SUV because it signaled something about their life. They made decent money, had decent credit, and they thought they'd make the payments work. They didn't. There's a guy 3 blocks from the SUV I'm here for. Nice neighborhood, really nice. He bought a full-size truck with every option in 2024. $68,000 financed. $1,240 a month. He was making $130,000 a year as a regional manager. The truck was about 10% of his gross income. Should have been fine. But then his company restructured. He got demoted. His new salary was $90,000. Suddenly the truck payment went from 10% to 16% of his income. That's unsustainable. And he couldn't sell because, you guessed it, negative equity. He owed $52,000. The truck was worth $41,000. He called me last month asking if there was a way to avoid repossession. I told him the truth. Call your lender, ask for forbearance or a loan modification. Most of them will work with you if you've been making payments. He did. They said no. Said he'd have to get current on his payments, and then they'd talk about options. He couldn't get current. So now the bank owns another depreciating asset, and he's driving a rental Corolla, which I'm sure feels like a downgrade in every way except the one that matters. The payment fits his actual life. The numbers behind the crisis. The data on this is stark, and it's accelerating. Major finance companies are reporting that early delinquencies, that's people who are 2 or more payments behind within the first 24 months of a loan, are up 40 to 60% compared to 2024. Voluntary surrenders are up 35%. Repos in the first year of ownership are the highest they've been since 2010. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. These aren't predatory borrowers or people who were reckless. These are people who bought at a moment when prices were historically high, interest rates were climbing, and lenders were approving aggressively because the residual values were still being calculated as if 2024 pricing was permanent. It wasn't. A car financed at $70,000 in 2024 or early 2025 is worth $45,000 to $50,000 in 2026. The buyer thought they'd drive it for 5 years and maybe have some equity. Instead, they're upside down day one. And when life happens, a job loss, a medical emergency, a spouse losing income, the car payment becomes the thing that has to go. Because it's not shelter. It's not health. It's a depreciating asset that they can't even get rid of without writing a check. What's coming? I'm picking up 3 more vehicles tonight. Tomorrow night, probably 4. The staging lots are filling up faster than they've been in 15 years. The recovery companies are hiring, the tow trucks are getting more work, and the lenders are starting to realize that their asset values are crashing because the market is flooded with repossessed inventory from people just like the guy with the baby seat in the back of his SUV. It's a feedback loop. Repos increase, which means more used inventory, which means prices drop faster, which means more people are underwater, which means more repos. It feeds itself. So here's what I want to know from you. Have you seen more tow trucks in your neighborhood lately? Have you noticed cars being picked up that weren't there before? Or on the other side, have you thought about buying a car in 2026 and decided it's not worth the risk? Is the credit bubble finally popping, or are we just at the beginning? Let me know in the comments, because I'm in the field every night and I'm watching this unfold in real time. And I can tell you, it's bigger than the headlines are saying. This is the 3 a.m. reality, and it's only getting busier.